I'm Simon Ditchburn. I'm the Managing Director of the Tudor Group of companies, and you're watching a series of promotional videos to demonstrate what the Tudor company has to offer within Thailand. We operate within the companies of Tudor Construction. This is where we employ all of the builders directly. We do this to ensure that they build exactly the European standard that we're looking for. Completed projects to date is Tudor Villas. This is the north end of Pattaya, near to the Regent International School. And we're currently working on the project Tudor Court Condominium. This is by far the largest that we've built to date and very much our flagship. In the last video we took you into the construction of Tudor Court to demonstrate exactly what the company does, and today we're going to follow that through by taking you up into the roof. So follow me now and see exactly what we've got. Back in 2007, when I actually designed Tudor Court, the condominium itself, I had to make a choice about the roof. Now, I have to admit, if I was back home in the UK, there wouldn't be any consideration whatsoever. It would be automatically a concrete flat roof. But that's quite often where things go wrong. As a European, we consider ourselves to be better than everybody else. We know things better than everybody else, and we don't take notice of local knowledge. And I couldn't help but notice coming here to Thailand that the local buildings, maybe the temples or the palaces, were all built with sloped roofs, not with flat roofs. Now there had to be a reason for that. Then of course the big rains and the floodings came down. Just take a look at these photographs of what can happen. So after seeing those photographs, I don't think it takes a lot of imagination to think what that's going to do to a flat concrete roof. So at the end of the day, we went with the decision of the sloped roof. I think it's pretty obvious. The rain is going to come down onto this roof, it's going to slide straight off into the guttering system, and there's never going to be a problem with the concrete slab. It's the safer option, whether you're living on the top floor or the ground floor. Remember, your maintenance money that you pay every month for the upkeep of that condo is very much including the roof. So if there's any sort of water damage and you're living on the ground floor, you're still going to be paying for it. So you need to think about that one. A sloped roof was definitely the correct option, and it's the one that we went for. Safety in electrics is of utmost importance in any house or any apartment. It's said that the largest amount of accidents occur in the home, and the electrics are definitely a killer. Now, in the last promotional video we showed you the conduits that were running through the ceilings. Now basically the cables will sit inside of those conduits and they will run down to any of your electrical appliances. Now the idea of these conduits is quite simply, should there be an electrical fire, the conduit stops the fire from being able to spread through any of the ceilings. Major piece of safety, but once we eventually get down to the cable, apart from having your actual power that supplies any of your items, whatever you've bought, the one that's going to save your life is the green and yellow. This is the earth cable. This is the one that makes all the difference, and you're going to see it in the sockets of whether you have a 3-pin socket or a 2-pin socket. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. But take a good look at that green and yellow, because that's the one that saves your life. We've come over to Tudor Villas now to show you the finished item. Well, basically, take a good look at your socket. If you have an earth system, exactly as we do here at Tudor, you will have 3 points. 1, 2, 3. It's the third one here that connects up with your earth. This is the one this is the lifesaver. It's the best way to explain it. Now basically you'll see that also in your plugs. You'll notice 1, 2, 3. The longest of the pins here, this is the one when plugged in, goes into the earth. This is the one that makes your socket safe. Now, if you look around your apartment and you don't have that third pin, quite simple, you are not earthed. And the only suggestion I can make to you is when you do the washing up or you come out of the bathroom and you've got wet hands, don't, whatever you do, plug in a socket with wet hands. That's the most common killer. Every time we come on site, the construction has moved on a little bit more, and eventually we'll end up with a story from start to finish, where we take you into the showrooms. Well, one of the latest additions that we've recently done is the sprinkler system. You can see it over and above here. Now the spray heads of that are set out every 5 metres apart from each other, and eventually that guides you down through the corridor area leading out of the building down at the fire escape that will be located at the back. In addition to the sprinkler system, we've also got the fire alarm system going in place. Now that consists of a heat detector in every kitchen. Heat rather than smoke, so that when you're cooking you don't falsely set off the alarm system. And then in every bedroom we have the smoke detector. Now the smoke detector is there to wake you up. That's the one that sets the alarm off, because you've got to remember it's smoke inhalation that kills you long before the flames. Now here's the scenario. Automatically, should there be a fire in the building, an alarm is set off within the fire brigade within their office. They turn up on site, and downstairs in the entranceway they see a board that shows every level in the building. So straight away before they enter the building they can see which floor has a problem. In addition to that, when they come up to the floor where the board is showing the problem, we then have a lighting system that's outside every apartment. You can see us putting it in place here. So outside the front of every apartment you physically have a lamp. The lamp shows which apartment has a problem. The main board being downstairs, which shows which floor has a problem, and then the light outside the apartment which shows which apartment has a problem. Once all of this system is set off, and if it reaches a major danger level, the sprinkler system is then automatically set off. And it's the sprinkler system, remember, that guides you into the fire stairs at the back of the building. I'd like to bring your attention now to the air condition pipes, because they actually run above your ceiling. And because it's very cold inside of that copper pipe, if it's not insulated, you get condensation water physically dripping on the plasterboard ceilings. And of course, if you haven't done that properly right from the very beginning, you're going to see water stains within your decoration. So I'd like to point out to you here that you can see that all of the surfaces for the air condition that are physically above all of the ceilings are covered properly with an insulation, a foam insulation. Suspended plasterboard ceilings have been in Thailand for quite a while now, so it's really not anything new. They've made their way across from Europe, and they've developed a system that's a little bit lighter gauge to ours, but it is basically the same. If you take a look up into the top, you can see that lightweight aluminium framework. On top of that framework, the plasterboard is actually screwed into place. That's suspended completely from that aluminium framework. And then, following through into the next room, you can see that the jointing is then done afterwards, and we can create various different shapes in the ceiling for decorational purposes. Nice and simple finishes. You can also see that the ceilings are now coming in place in many of the apartments through the building. Now this is exactly the same system that we would use home in Europe. It's a very light gauge aluminium that is suspended from the concrete slab, and then screwed into position on that framework is then the plasterboard. You can see the main sheets of plasterboard, how they go together here. Exactly the same way that we do it home in Europe, and it's very flexible to make a lot of different designs. If you live in Pattaya already, or you've had some experience of staying in Pattaya, you will know that the water supply goes up and down depending on whether it's dry season or wet season. So in Tudor Condominium we thought about this, and we have put in 10 3,000 litre tanks as a reserve.
developer of the project, one of the first things I had to consider was the location. It's vital to a project, and whether it's going to be the success or the failure of that project. Then we had to consider, of course, the people that would like to buy. What sort of location would those people like to be in? Now, if I take a good look at Pattaya and what we have here in Pattaya, probably it's most famous for being a tourist town. So we've got to look at small one-bedroom units. So the smallest unit we do to try and cater for that is the 65 square metre apartment. They're starting at about $3.5 million baht. Then we take a look into the next stages of the types of buyer that would like to buy from us, and we think that's the retirement age and the ever-growing expat that's coming out here to live. So for that particular buyer, people that are going to be living here for longer periods of time, possibly full-time, we've got a 75 and a 76 square metre apartment. Then of course you've got to consider for the families, so basically for the families we have 166 square metres. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, they're absolutely enormous, they're probably the size of a bungalow and all built within the condo. Now if you consider the location that you need to cover for those possible buyers, then you consider the buyers themselves. What location are we going to choose within Pattaya? Where is the best to put all of those people? We chose in the end Pratumnak, on the top of Pratumnak Hill. The reason for that is pretty obvious, I think, as you can see behind me. A lot of people like the sea view, so we're overlooking the island of Koh Lan. So we're in a great residential area, but we're also only 5 minutes away from the shopping centres and of course the infamous walking street of downtown. That means we can cater for the holiday makers that want to come here and that need the excitement of the nightlife. And we can also cater for the residential areas here of people living here for long periods of time. Take a good look at the view, because this is what you're going to be looking at. Our actual location here on Pratumnak Hill is on Soi 2 on Pratumnak Hill. Now basically it's a no-through road, which I think is an important part for a resident, anybody that wants to live here full time, because you haven't got any heavy traffic passing you all the time. You can live up here in peace and quiet, but remember, you're still only 5 minutes from Walking Street. So our actual location is Pratumnak Hill, Soi 2. Come down and take a look what we've got. We're filming the construction right the way through. You can see that we're just a couple of months away from completion. All of the dangerous parts of people trying to buy off plan, etc. have now passed. It's a matter of choosing your unit, paying your deposit and moving on with the sale. You'll be moving in by January or February at the very last. Have a good look at the project, see what we've got. We're here every day from 10 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the evening. Okay, thank you very much.